Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is the problems that high numbers of illegal immigrants is causing, not just in our big cities and towns that we all hear about on social media and sometimes the mainstream media, but even rural places. This is a notion that people have had that this was basically an English problem up until recently. There's been a lot of people like myself highlighting that Glasgow, for one particular city north of the border, has had 4,000 immigrants moved here who were termed homeless, and we're now hearing stories from rural parts of Scotland. So David, who's a guest on this special edition of the 10-minute Moan, he contacted me through Twitter a couple of weeks ago with some concerns on his community in his neighbourhood. So I'd like to introduce David and thank him for joining us on the podcast today. So, David, you, as I said there, you contacted me through Twitter with some concerns that are, unique to your area and obviously not unique to the whole UK. Could you just tell us a wee bit about yourself, where you were brought up, where you live, and then we can touch on the problems, just so people get a rough idea of what we're talking about here.
I was born and bred in Stranraer, southwest Scotland. Lived there for 30 years. Then met a woman, ended up getting married, having a kid with her, and moved to Wigtown, which is about 30 miles south of Stranraer.
In Wigtown, I would, from memory, having passed through it, is even more rural than Stranraer, and it's the big towns you've got in that sort of southwest corner of Scotland would tend to be sort of Stranraer, Dumfries. Is that right? There's probably the two biggest populated areas.
In between them is Newton Stewart.
Aye, again, a decent sized town. So, what was the initial thing that you contacted me about that was a concern to you?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, my daughter's autistic, non-verbal, so she got some disability money, and we decided to take it out of the bank, keep it in the house in a safe to keep it safe. And we went to get some of the money out of it, and turns out somebody's just walked into the house and stole the safe at some point. So we went to the police. The police weren't even going to come out. They said they were going to take a statement over the phone, which they've still not took statements, but they came out like a week later. And at first we just assumed, it's somebody local, somebody chanced their luck and got a good result. But then through speaking, even the police said in Newton Stewart there's been a handful of instances of the same thing, nothing else stolen out of the house. They go for cash or valuables they can fit out of sight, I'm guessing. So then through starting to talk to everybody, went round all the neighbours, because it's a small area, you sort of know everybody. So just spoke to the postmen, the postwomen, delivery drivers. And then it was through that one of the delivery drivers says they're actually foreigners pretending to work for DPD and just entering people's houses and taking a chance to see what they can get.
If this is something that local people have got knowledge on, why are they, and you're saying that the police have came out, so they've got a crime report as such, but they've not took any statements to you, and you feel as if there was a bit of resistance to even investigate the thing if they weren't really want to even come to your house.
Well, even the crime reference number, it was through text.
Incredible.
So it is.
I done a video about the middle of last year. They'd done a test case up in the northeast of Scotland where small level crime, unless the victim could provide some sort of evidence. They weren't even investigating these things. So, and the notion was that they should put that across the whole of Police Scotland. And that sounds as if that could be part of the reason why there's not really been much investigation done on your incident. Have you been able to get any evidence, any, I don't know, obviously very rural Scotland, you've got, probably less concerns normally for theft and protection than people that live in big cities. And in the big cities now, most people or most streets have at least one person that's maybe got a ring doorbell that will record. Is there anybody down there that's been able to help you with any sort of evidence on this crime?
No, the next door neighbour and a neighbour across the street has door cams, but I'm guessing they only sort of pick up who's at their door.
Yeah, their vicinity, yeah.
It's as if it's just vanished into thin air. But if you think about it, like, people order that much stuff online, delivery drivers don't look out of place.
Yeah, and that I would imagine that being in a rural community, online is even a bigger advantage to you than someone who's in a main city, because in driving distance to most stops. So you probably rely on more online purchases as rural population than city population, because and you'll have numerous people, I'd imagine. So going back to the DPD driver that you spoke to, did he suggest how sort of common this was?
I don't know if he said how common. He actually said that there's some foreigners working for some of the companies like Yodel, but the thing that stuck out was, he said in a nearby village, which is only, I think, 13 miles away, he confronted one of them and he had a DPD shirt on. And when he said to him, like, what branch are you working for, or whatever way he put it towards him, he says, "Oh, I work for Yodel." And then he sort of just left. The guy that claimed he worked for DPD just left. So I'm assuming they're driving around in blank vans with shirts on.
So he actually had a DPD uniform then?
I'm guessing it's a polo shirt, but then he said he worked for Yodel.
When he was confronted by a guy who evidently did work for DPD.
But he never said how common. But in Newton Stewart, through just asking, we were told there was 4 instances, and another village like 6 miles away, there's more instances. There's like a handful of villages, and even the police said the chances are that there's probably more, but because the thieves are coming in for cash if they can find it, then they're taking what's the easiest to get rid of. And they say a lot of folk will not even report it to the police if it's money, because they know the police can't deal with it.
It's gone. I was just thinking there, Newton Stewart, what's that, 4,000 or 5,000 population?
I looked it up. In 2022, it was just under 4,000.
So 4 in a short period of time in a village town of that size, that's a pretty big thing. That's quite a high crime rate, I would suggest. And you're saying that if you go 6 miles up, but what is the next village, or the village you're talking about? The
other one was Creetown.
Right. And is that smaller than Newton Stewart, I would imagine?
Aye.
And it's happening there as well?
Aye, a lot of the areas. There's another bit, Garliston, if I'm saying it right. They said there, and then the guy that actually got confronted, that was in a small place called Sorby, and these aren't very big places.
Yeah, and I think what's probably happened here, it's probably something that you've never concerned yourself with before, but once it's happened to you and you start asking about it and you start hearing about all these things, sometimes the perception is it's relative new thing, and that may be the case, but it might have been going on longer, but because you're not aware of it, you're not talking about it, it's not in your circle. And then once you started talking to people, you came across some other sort of unusual things happening in that corner of Scotland. What you want to relay?
It turns out one of the local taxi drivers was saying that there's actually a hotel in Newton Stewart that's housing quite a bit of migrants. then through talking to somebody else in another shop, Newton Stewart has a hunting shop, and there was 3 foreigners in. Only one of them spoke English, and they were trying to actually buy, I didn't even care what you would call them, knives for dressing deer.
Staying up to date with events around the world can be difficult, where it's impossible to consult a single source for the full story. Narratives that shape public opinion often just reinforce media and corporate-backed vested interests. It's hard to know what information to trust. See what the media is exaggerating, sensationalising, over or under reporting. That's why I've been using Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that combines news from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. For every news source, you can see if it has any political bias, how reliable the reporting is, and who owns them. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights news disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. Take a data-driven view on the news and stay current. Get news from thousands of sources worldwide in one place. I've been using Ground News to help me get all the world's news in one place and give a more balanced opinion on what we read and viewing who is telling us the truth and who isn't. Subscribe via my link to get 40% off the Vantage subscription. It's the one I use to get unlimited access to every feature. Your subscription can not only help my channel, but also help Ground News, as it makes the media landscape more transparent.
But he wouldn't sell them to them because you need a fixed address and you need ID and the one they want to fill out on the forms or say who they were.
That's a bit incredible. Now, you've not lived in that village all your life, but you lived in that area. Previous to that, I mean, I've been down that area infrequently in my life, but it was never an area that I would see a high level of evidently foreign people. Is this quite a new thing then in the area where there's been an influx of foreign people?
Aye. Even Stranraer, where I'm originally from, a lot of folk are saying there's new faces every day. Like there's a lot of immigrants, I'm guessing.
So going back to the claim about the hotel in Newton Stewart, is that confirmed or is that just a,
Well, the taxi driver that told us, like, we ken him, and he says it's legit. And you see some of them driving around in vans.
Mm-hmm. If you put an immigrant hotel in an area in a city with 100,000 people, and there's maybe 100 to 200 in it, it does make a bit of a difference. It'll make a difference to that local postcode. But when you replicate that in an area where at the last census was about 4,000 people, that can have a major impact in a town. That's pretty frightening. And is there anything else that you've came across just since you know in burglary that you've learned?
No, locally. I've not really. I just found that stuff out within like a couple of days. I didn't really I wasn't even looking or asking questions about migrants. I was just trying to find out.
Your daughter. Aye, well, it's a sorry to hear about your news. When did the theft happen?
We've no idea. Sometime between, we reckon it's been the last couple of months. Yeah. But because the money's in there and it's my daughter's and it's to be saved, we've no need to be going into it every day. So, where we are, it's like I say, it's a small place. So folk gone, like the school that my daughter goes to just round the corner. So my wife leaves the door open, which is...
A lot of people that are city dwellers will be shocked and stunned by that, but that's even how cities used to be not that long ago.
Even the policewoman that was here for 10 minutes, she said that she lays her doors open. Ken, it's because it's just a small village, everybody mostly kens everybody. So they just, I'm guessing they just have a bit of trust.
Incredible. Well, look, David, I can't thank you enough. When you came to me with your concerns initially, I did say to you, that, and I get this often when people come and say, well, why don't you come on and tell your story? Because I do share a lot of stories, and I just think it adds more credence when it's the person. I've never lived in the southwest area of Scotland. It's a beautiful part of the world. Maybe I might be lucky enough one day to live down there. But for the local person to actually relay the story, I feel it's got far more credence. So thank you very much for doing that. And listen, I think we're hoping against all hope, to be honest with you, that somebody's going to find out who and where this theft happened, how it happened, and why it happened.
Okay.
Fingers crossed something happens to you, and hopefully by even just putting this out on the platform, somebody watches, somebody might hear something, or it alerts people in your area who can maybe now just be that wee bit more vigilant about going about. And it's terrible. I mean, it's terrible that somebody like me is saying to folk in your area that you maybe need to consider locking your doors when you've been there for all your life, and it's something that you just haven't had to do.
I would encourage everybody to lock their doors.
Aye. Even just in the shops.
No matter how wee a place you live in, don't think that you maybe trust your neighbours, but you didn't ken who else is about.
It's know your neighbours. It's what I mean. I'd be shocked and stunned if this was somebody that's lived in your area, like yourself, for all your life. But it's incredible. But listen, thanks very much, David, for coming on. I do appreciate it, and I'll speak to you again soon. Okay.
Right. Thank you. Cheers.
So there we go, folks. The issues with immigration are not only in the big major cities and towns. It now appears through David's own experiences that our small towns in rural Scotland are getting used to house migrants, and it appears that theft, robberies and things, they are affecting people in the real world. That's a man who's been a victim of a crime that evidently appears to have been by an influx of immigrants to his area. So shocking, terrible. What can we do? If you want others to see this video, please do one or two or three of the following things. Click the like button, put your comments below, and hit the share button. And if these are happening in your communities and you want to share your experiences, then please contact me. Twitter is the easiest place to get me. It's where I spend quite a lot of my time. If you've not already done so, please hit the subscribe button. And most importantly of all, unless you're the type of person who wants to come here illegally, wants to get millions of pounds every day spent on a problem that we've got with the numbers because we need to house them, and you want to inevitably give the people who are sharing their postcode with you a worse life through your actions, then not you. But everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.